So this has been a really weird day. Things have been just a little off. Not that it's necessarily bad, but you know how you get those days where things just don't feel right, where you feel just a little blah. That's kind of the way today's been. It's like everything's been a little bit rough around the edges. Things haven't necessarily gone that well. But it's not, it's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, things aren't really that bad. It's one of those things where it's really weird when this creeps up. The point of this, though, is whenever you're dealing with a really traumatic experience and a really traumatic situation, when you have these little down times, it can really compound itself and get really, really complicated. I know for me, whenever roll the clock back 4 or 5 years, when I would wake up and have these bad days, primarily I was already pretty much really stressed and not really in a great mood anyways. And then you add in those normal, you know, where you just kind of have an off day, and it compounds everything because you really start thinking about what's going on and thinking it's worse, right? You go through that catastrophic thinking and you're like, your brain just goes down this thing, this path, this rabbit hole, to where it's like, oh my God, everything is horrible. It's never going to get better. It generally does, right? I mean, it's really tough whenever we're in the midst of this and things aren't going well. I mean, I get that. But one of the things you got to think about is that, you know, there's always this constant ebb and flow with how you feel. There's an ebb and flow with everything that happens with life. And it's important to remember that, because then when things are a little bit down, you can keep it in perspective and hopefully not allow yourself to, you know, go over to the cliff, over the deep end, into the abyss, and just feel like everything is never going to get better and it's going to be horrible. And I absolutely was going through that mode. Roll that clock back like I was talking about a minute ago. Back in the beginning of this, it was really tough. And there was a period of time where I was really, really down, and it was a struggle to make it through the day. So this isn't what happened to me today. This isn't what happened. But it was one of those things where it was just like everything was just a little bit off. It was just like you feel a little bit off. You know, it's just everything was a little weird. I mean, it's one of those days where I probably should have just stayed home. And I didn't. I went to work. So I don't know. I got then as the day progressed, there was some really weird news that happened that just wasn't necessarily bad news, but it wasn't great news. And I think part of the problem was I was kind of looking through the day trying to find some things that would like pick me up and get me going. And instead of that happening, it was the opposite. It was things that were just kind of like, hey, how about this? You know. So anyways, my point on this is, when you're having days like that, like I was having today, you just got to keep it in perspective. Realize that it's not indicative of way things are going to be forever. And, you know, give yourself some time to get some rest. I think for the most part, I just wore myself down. I had a lot of, you know, had a good weekend, but it was busy. You know, a lot of things were going on. And I think whenever I get kind of worn down and I'm not able to really do things that I have planned in my mind, it kind of wears me down. So just want to mention that, because I know a lot of you guys go through the same thing. I don't want you to feel like it's catastrophic and that, you know, everything is a complete mess, because it's not. And hopefully you can give yourself an opportunity to get some rest, take a break, and recharge your battery so that you can attack the next day, or, you know, the next week with a better, I don't want to say attitude's not the right word, perspective. I'll say perspective. That's a better word. So on that, I will chat with you on the next video. Take care.